Hello and welcome to another edition of VisionCast Network, where collaboration and technology come together in service to humanity. Today's guest is Elizabeth Wright. She helps 25 to 65-year-old women who are on a spiritual path upgrade their lives on all levels. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Good to be here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got into it, and why it is that you do it.
Okay, well, I better make it a short version.
That's okay.
So,
I'm
I,
experienced to meet your needs.
okay, so I am an energy healer first and foremost. I also am a yoga teacher.
Yes.
I'm certified as a hypnotherapist.
Okay.
I am an author
Hmm.
and a retreat leader, and I also do guided meditations. And so I got into energy healing many years ago, around 2002, when I lost everything in my life. It was just sort of wiped off the table.
Mm.
And I ended up living with out of a friend of a friend's converted garage in um, north of Sydney in Australia.
Okay.
And I would go to the beach every day to to heal myself. And on the way, there was this house that had a sandwich board out the front that said massage. And I kept getting this guidance to go see this woman. So finally, I did see her, and she said she did energy healing. And I was like, I don't really, she said she wanted to give me energy healing. And I said, I really want a massage.
Mhm.
But she gave me this energy healing, and it just completely was this profound experience that was my awakening, my first spiritual awakening. And I met God, and um, she opened all my chakras and grounded me to the earth, which I wasn't properly grounded before. And so I left that hour session and I just felt like a completely different person. And all the pain that I had in my physical body was gone. And I could see rainbows and everything. And it was just this amazing experience. I was like, what is that? And so she told me this is energy healing, and this is where I learned it. So then I went to Sydney. Like three weeks later, I got a job there, and it happened to be in the next suburb over was this school that I studied the energy healing for 2 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
So seems like out of a tremendous adversity where you lost everything, you started your journey. Is this correct?
it's true because when you're on the wrong path,
Mm.
sometimes the hand of God will just come in and just wipe that clean. And so that's happened to me more than once.
Mm.
It's like, no, 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 not this way, over here. That's it.
Beautiful. So what do you think, how did that change your life and how does that put you on the course to where you are now and what you're doing moving forward?
So during that time, I saw the world in a completely different way. I
Okay.
saw it through the eyes of God, which it just shifted everything. It was almost like the holes just flipped, and all of a sudden I could see the truth of things, and it made it very difficult to live in this world. I didn't have any sort of community that was supporting me in that rapid shift. And so it took a good 14 years to integrate that experience. But I began to when you're awakened and you align yourself to the truth, then all of a sudden your priorities change. And the things that you once did no longer hold any value or interest to you. So, it literally was the beginning of me walking on my path as a healer. And everything after that was about learning how to heal myself and help others heal. And so that's when I became a yoga teacher, and I wrote a book about my spiritual awakening, and then I just kept learning and learning and learning the truth.
What was most surprising about that for you?
That's a good question. I guess what was most surprising about it was that I just saw how our whole society is conditioned um, in a way that is not in alignment with the truth of who we are.
Hmm.
And, so, I mean, obviously, we all have to make money, right? And everything that I've been told about, you've got to work really hard to make money to buy things. I mean, it wasn't like what my parents said to me. It was more the society, the media. And then I just realized like that is not it at all. And I was 34.
Okay.
So, that's usually when a person is accumulating wealth and
Yeah.
climbing the corporate ladder and getting all the things and buying the home and having the kids. And I didn't do any of that.
Right.
I didn't do any of that.
You were
I
on a
basically, what's that?
you were on a different path.
I went on a different path. I basically exited mainstream society at that point, stepped off the wheel, and then became like a outlier, or someone that observes but is not part of mainstream.
Mm.
And so it became very difficult. It felt like all the fish were swimming this way and I was going that way, you
Right.
know, but all the fish were going that way. And there's just a few fish going that way. So it becomes lonely, and
Yeah.
it's known as the narrow path, right?
Narrow path. What did you discover
Yeah.
about yourself on that narrow path that you'd care to share?
I discovered that I had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
and and one of the things is the universe keeps humbling me. So
Mhm.
what I'm really working on now, and um is to not ask like help me, like, can someone help me, because I had taken on this role of the victim that I
Yeah.
inherited through conditioning.
Yeah.
Also, my mother had it,
Yeah.
and instead to turn it around to say, who can I help, right?
Mhm.
Instead of help me, you say, who can I serve?
Yeah.
And so that's the journey that I think we're all on,
Mhm.
and I remember it was Kennedy who said, ask not what you can do for your country, or ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And if we just take that to another level and make it universal, ask not what God can do for you, or the world or the universe can do for you, but what you can do for God and what you can do for the universe.
So I have an interesting question for you that just popped into my head. You learned to look through the eyes of God. You learned to see through the eyes of God. And so in that process, I would imagine it was deeply profound, yes?
Yes.
And there was like a dissolution of separation.
Yes, I've had a few of those experiences. Yep.
And then so how through that awareness, if ask not what your country can do for you, ask not what God can do for you, but what you can do for God, or what you can do through God as God. Has that
Hmm.
entered your experience, and to what extent, and how do you use that in your work, your transcendental work, for these women on the spiritual path?
So the question being, has that entered my experience? Yeah, I mean, I'm a channel, so I bring through messages from the divine as I'm sending energy and helping the person with a core wound, in their healing. And then when I teach yoga, I'm also a channel, and when I teach when I teach retreats, I'm also a channel. So it's like I'm bringing through the voice of God,
Yeah.
basically.
Yes. Beautiful. So you have a retreat coming up, yes?
I do.
Tell us about that, please.
Okay, so it's called a soul reset retreat.
Okay.
And really, it's bigger than that. It's a mind, body, soul reset retreat. I think we all get bogged down in our day to day living,
Yeah.
with all our to-do lists. And how many of us actually just pull ourselves out of our normal lives and plunk ourselves down somewhere completely different to unplug and
Yeah.
connect and listen with to our heart. And you know that the heart is where the soul lives. So
Mm.
we as humans, we live one life in the third dimensional world through our personalities. You know, we got to pay the bills, we got to pay the taxes, we got to raise the kids, we got to take care of the house.
Yeah.
But then the soul has its own expression
Yeah.
of what it's doing here. And the soul is the true self. So we want to align with our true self and allow our true self to express itself through us for our bigger purpose, our bigger mission of why we've even incarnated into these bodies in these lifetimes. And so this soul reset retreat is to give people, women, the space. It is for women,
Mm-hmm.
the space to unplug from the noise of the 3D world, connect deeply in with their own hearts, and listen to the voice of their soul, and understand what it's asking for them to do, the next step or the vision that they are creating for what they want to do in the world going forward. How do they want to serve? What is their soul mission? And you know, it doesn't have to be such a huge thing. It's just like, what's the next step, right? Or
Yes.
what is your heart really asking? Yeah. So when they come down here, I will be giving them very fresh organic food. Take,
Mm.
you know, they get to go to the beach and hang out, just by the negative ions of the water.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we'll we'll be doing fun activities like snorkeling and
Mm-hmm.
dolphin and whale watching and horseback riding.
Mm.
And yeah, and then we'll also be having women's circles where I do group guided healing meditations and working with everyone's energy fields for healing, and everyone gets a massage. I've got a special guest presenter coming in to do a guided breathwork ceremony.
Beautiful.
She's a shaman, or
Mm-hmm.
some people say shaman. And I'll be teaching yoga every morning with
Mm.
some breath work and meditation and with that. And then we'll also have fun things at night, like dance and some night entertainment, but also just plenty of time to journal and relax and be introspective so you can reset yourself and put yourself on the path to creating a life that is based on your soul's journey and your soul's purpose here.
So it sounds like it's a beautiful celebration of the divine feminine, the awakening of the heart of the soul of the divine woman. Am I hearing this correctly?
Yes, yes, you could be my promoter.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, you are.
we all have masculine and feminine, right? We all have those aspects. And so
Yeah.
you say down here, where is down there, and how did you? There's an interesting story about how you ended up down there, where that is. But where is down
Yeah. Down there is Costa Rica. Thanks for pointing that out.
there?
And I am in Samara, which is near Carrillo Beach,
Okay.
and that is in Guanacaste, the province of Guanacaste.
Okay.
And I came here 2 years ago with a friend who brought me on vacation, and I got COVID actually on the way over,
Mm.
and I spent 21 days here because I was quarantined.
Yep.
And and my friend went back because she had to work, but I stayed an extra 10 days. And it was really during that time that I cleared myself out, you know, and I didn't have anywhere to go or I
Yeah.
didn't know anyone. I didn't have any plans, you know. I just was recovering. And
Mm.
I remember sitting in the water one day watching the pelicans fly by, and all of a sudden my heart just went like open wide, and I merged with all the elements, and I lost the feeling of being in my body. And
Mm.
I heard so clearly, you know, from my soul saying, come here, like this is your home. And it was just such a profound moment. I was like, I was never more sure of anything in my life, you know, that
Mm.
I'd heard, I'd received this message, and I knew that I had to do it. And mind you, okay, so I sold everything and I came down here in January,
Yep.
and it's been challenging. I have a lot of challenges that I'm dealing with, but it's like I threw myself into the fire.
Mm.
And but this is where the biggest transformation takes place. So I'm aware of that. And apparently my soul likes a challenge.
You are on the hero's journey, yes?
Correct.
And it's like that's the third instance. So the first instance is when you lost everything that I heard, and that was like a disillusion of the ego and a reckoning and an awakening. And then there was another one where you went to Costa Rica, and I'm sure there are others in the middle in there as well. I'm just reciting what I'm hearing. And you got COVID and you had to stick around, and then you came back and you've had challenges.
Well, I went back to the US for two
Yeah.
years, and
Yeah.
then I sold everything, came down, and it's, you know, I'm in another initiation. Yep.
Yeah, the third leg, is it the third leg of the Triple Crown?
Yes, but the other one was when I married the man who was not a good man, and
Mm,
you know, I lost everything even
mm,
more so
yeah,
in that experience. So through crisis, you know, it's like awakening through crisis.
right. And so I would imagine that your work is centered on, I'm just intuiting this, you don't have to go through that. You can just maybe turn inside and get in touch with that sense of the divine power that you have. Maybe shortcut some of these experiences and become more intuitive. Am I hearing that in what you're saying, or is there some degree of suffering that's mandatory in order to transform?
You know, I'm not in charge of that
Yeah.
design program, but I guess for me, I keep picking the hardest route, I've noticed. And so I've sort of made this decision not to do that anymore.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, you know, yes, we all do come down here to suffer to some degree, because that's when the greatest
Yep.
transformation takes place. So I think that it's a timeline thing for me. Like, if I want to get here from here, it has to be a big thing that's going to get me there faster. You know,
Got
it's sort of like when humanity had to jump from one timeline to another, World War II happened.
it.
And so
Yep.
that, you know, that created that huge thing that got them there faster. So that's another way of looking at it.
Love that. So, where can people find out more about your retreat?
Well, I have a retreat page on my website,
Okay.
which is energyhealingteacher.com. And it says group retreat. And you just click on that, and it tells you everything that you need to know. And then you can sign up. Registration's open. I have an early bird special that is available until June 1st.
Okay.
And so I really encourage you to get on there and come on down here where you can enjoy this amazing country. I know there's a lot of retreat places in Costa Rica, but everyone resonates with someone different.
Yep.
So it's a matter of, yeah, it doesn't matter that there's a lot of retreats. It's who you're going with, whether you resonate with me or not. And that's you'll know because you'll be called.
Yep.
So
Beautiful. So, in closing, Elizabeth, what would be one thing you'd like the listeners to take away from this conversation that you believe is important?
so I think what's important is that people understand that if difficult things happen to you, you're not being punished. There's not something wrong with you. It's everything here is that we're doing is about soul evolution and growth. And what you do with what happens to
Hmm.
you is what matters, you know. And I mean, we all know that it's all about love, and everything else is an illusion. And that's the truth. Like, even the really, really hard stuff where people get hurt or harmed or experience a lot of loss, even that is for you. And so you can come out the other side and be stronger and wiser and succeed no matter what happens.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for spending some time. I appreciate it very much. And I enjoy the rest of your day and the beautiful weather down there in Costa Rica.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me on here. That was very
Very welcome.
kind and generous of you. And I appreciate your time and your energy.
Okay,
Thank
take
you.
care. We will catch you on the B side.